I'm excited for people to see Skeleton Crew because it's the same Star Wars universe that you know and you love. It's just a new perspective. The ability to see that world through the eyes of 4 10-year-old kids.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host, Jeff. Disney's next crack at Star Wars is coming soon. Skeleton Crew will premiere on Monday, December 2nd, and the 8-episode streaming series will conclude in mid-January. Weeks ago, I broke down the first trailer, including Skeleton Crew's creators and concepts. Link in the description. To Kennedy Film on the brink of its latest discharge, I say, go ahead, surprise me. Based on the studio's Disney-era series, by my count 3-4-11 with Universal strikeouts The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and The Acolyte. The odds say bet against Skeleton Crew, but I'll keep an open mind until I experience the finished product. Without a doubt, the series was a novel take on Star Wars. The 1980s pop track Major Tom in the second trailer definitely set apart this project from all prior projects, for better or worse. It'll steer fans through uncharted waters. The question on our minds, will we cruise to Barbados or go missing in the Bermuda Triangle? No one in my Star Wars circle, including Aaron, cares about Skeleton Crew. No one has paid attention to its development and marketing, and no one except me has committed to watching it. Only The Acolyte garnered less enthusiasm than Skeleton Crew before its premiere. Perhaps we're cynical, burned out, and/or wiser now. Thanks, Bob and Kathy. I've seen toys and Funko Pops in stores for the winter holidays. Will they have a longer shelf life than the Young Jedi Adventures line? Again, thanks Bob and Kathy. To promote the series, Kennedy Film released a featurette. I have clips for you, but allow me to provide background first. Lucasfilm recorded a table discussion with Skeleton Crew's creative team. John Watts and Chris Ford were the pitchmen and authors. Watts is the lead as co-writer, director, and showrunner, with Ford in support as co-writer. They loved Amblin Entertainment's 1980s coming-of-age films from Spielberg and, wait for it, Kathleen Kennedy. So they conceived Skeleton Crew as an 80s-style Amblin project for the Star Wars galaxy. The Goonies is the influence most cited by the duo. Bryce Dallas Howard, David Lowery, and Jake Schreier had seats at the table because they directed episodes too. The opening remarks reflected Hollywood's Mutual Admiration Society.
It's really fun to be able to write a show with your best friend and then make it with all of your friends. We all went to school together at NYU, and I'm just a fan of you.
Right back at you guys.
There's a very specific Venn diagram that's like Jude Law, pirates, kids, and then David Lowery is in the center of that. That's the guy you get.
You may dispense with the pleasantries, Commander.
After the adulation, however, interesting details began to emerge. Watts sat at the center wearing cream and white.
When you're doing anything as a director, you think about tone, especially when you're a director who's coming in and directing an episode, you need to adopt the tone. And what was so cool is because you guys just come with a tone. Like that's just inherent. It, I think, allowed for there to be so much cohesiveness in the storytelling because you all have such a shorthand. And I mean, I feel kind of included in this as well. Like I know what you guys do. I know the vibe.
What was the tone of Skeleton Crew? Judge Watts and Ford by Tom Holland's Spider-Man films. Watts directed all 3. Ford wrote Spider-Man Homecoming. Expect adventure with Marvel's sense of humor. Lighthearted and good-natured but forced at dramatic moments. The project was likely plot-driven, not character-driven. In other words, the character's development was probably secondary to the events that drove the narrative. The and then school of writing. With great funding comes great responsibility. Watts and Ford delivered quality entertainment with experienced actors in the past. Did they elevate the performance of child actors in Skeleton Crew? To be determined. One thing was clear. Jude Law anchored the series. More about him in a minute. I appreciated Howard's emphasis on cohesion. It has been lacking in Disney productions whose biggest failures were the result of directors with conflicting tones. As the series unfolds, we will learn the verity or fallacy of her assertion. Also, Watts and Ford have shown a knack for nostalgia. Spider-Man No Way Home remains the supreme application of Marvel's multiverse.
People are always asking what are the tonal inspirations for the show, and it's not like you and I have ever like consciously sat down and said, well,
Right, made a list.
like it's going to be a little bit of this Amblin Wonder magic with a hint of this. That's just like in our DNA when we're writing.
Right.
It just
And-
comes out.
yeah.
Like,
Okay, but you have always loved pirates.
I love pirates.
So this is not coming
Always
from
loved
nowhere.
pirates.
This is yeah.
You know, we went back and watched like old pirate serials from like the 20s and 30s, and that was a really fun entry point.
What's a pirate's favorite letter? R. The pirates in Season 3 of The Mandalorian were stereotypical and out of place. I like the idea of space pirates, but the execution was terrible. Favreau and Filoni introduced 18th century British marauders to the Star Wars galaxy. Their accents, costumes, and colloquialisms were cringeworthy. Robert Louis Stevenson rolled in his grave. For their sake, I hope Watts and Ford affected villains of a different sort. According to them, Amblin was in the forefront of their minds as they wrote Skeleton Crew. Are they telling the truth, flattering Kathleen Kennedy, or both? Back to the Future, E.T., Gremlins, The Goonies, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Amblin produced an impressive string of blockbusters during the 1980s. Does the family adventure genre suit Star Wars? I believe an adaptation is possible, but I'm skeptical. We'll know shortly if Watts and Ford rose to the task, or were allowed to.
What was exciting about being asked to do this one was that it made sense to me as soon as I was pitched it. I really loved the idea of making the protagonists kids. You know, we hadn't seen many kids in the canon, and I just thought it was a really refreshing way. And it reminded me of the kid I was in 1977, seeing the film for the first time.
Having Jude on set is like, Jude Law is so amazing. And he was like sort of the co-director, in addition to being like an incredible actor and wonderful man. Like, he also just helped us so much with the kids.
He seemed more lost in his imagination than the kids. And they would like look to that and be like, okay, I see. You really have to like really imagine really hard.
Skeleton Crew's creative team and child actors continue to sing Jude Law's praises. All agreed he provided assistance and served as a role model. He has 7 children, so he has years of experience. I'm glad he made a difference on set. The past decade hasn't been kind to Law in terms of quality films. Captain Marvel, 2 of 3 Fantastic Beasts, and Peter Pan and Wendy. Following highly publicized personal, drama, his roles were somewhat limited, but Disney is providing steady work for now. David Lowery directed him as Captain Hook in Peter Pan and Wendy. The argument against live-action interpretations of animated classics by Hollywood's boutique ideologues, and a compelling case against Lowery. Law is an excellent actor, but his recent roles cause concern. He narrowly avoided cancellation, and he behaves like a man on probation. In his shoes, would I do the same? Would I take roles to restore myself to others' good graces? In conclusion, as I said earlier, I'm dubious. Skeleton Crew has the best inventors for a Star Wars project in a long time, but Bob and Kathy still rule the IP. Did Watts and Ford overcome the odds against them? Monday, December 2nd, we'll begin to answer that question. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you're so inclined. Check out Galactic Initiative for all things Star Wars.
Galactic Initiative is not authorized or endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited. The name Star Wars and all related materials are registered trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, all rights reserved. Galactic Initiative is a registered trademark, and other product and company names are trademarks of their respective holders. Use does not imply affiliation or endorsement.